Let's go Dolphins. Let me ask you something, and be honest with me. If a talented quarterback suddenly became available for almost nothing, would you take the risk? I know what you're thinking. It sounds exciting at first, doesn't it? A fresh start, a new spark, maybe even a surprising comeback season. But then that inner voice kicks in and says, yeah, but does he really fit into what we're trying to build? That's exactly where the debate gets interesting. It's not just about talent. It's about identity. It's about direction. It's about whether this team will stick to the original plan or risk something that could either brighten the season or delay the long-term vision. Now I want to know your opinion. Would you bet on potential or be patient and trust the bigger plan? If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to like and show your support. And leave this comment. The future is bright in aqua and orange. Now let's get straight to it. Should Miami target Kyler Murray if he's released? I'm going to give you both sides, because this is not black and white. There are real positives that make this tempting, and there are real negatives that could make this a disaster. Let's start with why the answer could be yes. If Murray is released, Arizona is still on the hook financially. That means any new team signs him to a veteran minimum deal. Think about that. A quarterback with his level of talent, athleticism, and past production for the vet minimum. You simply will not find another quarterback with that ceiling at that price point. When healthy, Murray is one of the most dynamic quarterbacks in the league. His ability to create outside of structure, extend plays, and threaten defenses with his legs changes the math for defensive coordinators. Even if you criticize his inconsistency, you can't deny the raw ability. He played only 5 games last season before getting hurt and eventually benched, but when you watch the film, there's still talent there. The deep ball has touch. The mobility is elite. Outside the pocket, he sees the field better and can make throws that many quarterbacks simply can't. If Miami views 2026 as a transitional or bridge year, would you really pass on that level of upside at almost no financial risk? But here's where the doubts creep in. The Dolphins are expected to lean heavily into an offensive philosophy influenced by the Green Bay Packers model and the Shanahan tree. Under Bobby Slowick, that means more under center formations, more downhill running, more play action. When Slowick coordinated Houston's offense in 2023 and 2024, the Texans ranked top 6 in under center usage both seasons, hovering around 39%. That's not a small detail. That's foundational. And when you look at Murray's career, especially during his early years under Cliff Kingsbury, Arizona ranked near the bottom of the league in under center rate, 31st or 32nd. Murray has operated primarily out of shotgun. When the Cardinals did increase under center usage later, his production dipped. That raises serious questions about scheme fit. Size also becomes part of this discussion. This isn't about lazily labeling a quarterback as too small, but playing under center in cold weather games late in the season, especially against division rivals like the Jets, Patriots, and Bills, demands comfort operating from the pocket. John Eric Sullivan has emphasized building a roster capable of handling Northeast conditions in November, December, and January. His philosophy echoes what Green Bay valued for years. Quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love, both 6 feet 2 inches and comfortable attacking from structure. Sullivan famously said, fast gets slow, but big doesn't get small. That phrase lingers in this conversation. Murray has arm talent and mobility, but can he consistently win from the pocket in a downhill, play-action heavy offense? That's the core question. There's also the strategic element. If Miami signs Murray and he's good enough to win 6 or 7 games, you might miss out on drafting a top quarterback prospect next year. But if he struggles in a system that doesn't maximize him, you've burned a season. It's a delicate balance. And here's where I land. You could absolutely do worse than Kyler Murray on a 1-year veteran minimum deal. I'd even argue that it's less risky than committing massive multi-year money to a quarterback with limited starting experience. But does he truly align with the identity Miami appears to be building? And this is where things really start to split the fan base, because the argument isn't about whether Kyler Murray is talented. He is. The argument is whether talent alone outweighs structural fit inside what Miami is trying to build moving forward. If we go back to the core of this discussion, the Dolphins appear to be shifting philosophically. Under Bobby Slowick, the expectation is a heavier under-center presence, a commitment to the run game, and layered play-action concepts that attack the middle of the field. That system relies on timing, footwork discipline, and comfort operating with your back to the defense before snapping your head around and delivering on rhythm. Now think about Murray's strengths. He thrives when things break down. He thrives when protection collapses and he can escape. He thrives when he's outside the pocket, where sidelines open up and throwing lanes become clearer. But inside structure, especially in the intermediate middle of the field, we've seen inconsistency. In the 5 games he played last season, there were visible struggles attacking between 10 and 20 yards outside the numbers and over the middle. That's not speculation. It showed up on tape and in the data. So if Miami installs an offense that demands comfort from under center and rhythm-based pocket passing, you're essentially asking Murray to adapt in a way he hasn't consistently demonstrated over multiple seasons. That's not impossible. Quarterbacks evolve, but you would be betting on a stylistic transformation. And here's another layer to this: roster construction philosophy. John Eric Sullivan comes from a Green Bay model where quarterback prototypes matter. For over a decade, the Packers invested in bigger-bodied quarterbacks who could operate from the pocket first and extend second. Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love, even backups in that system followed that mold. The idea is that playoff football, especially in cold environments, tightens. Windows shrink. Wind picks up. Offenses must function within structure. If the Dolphins are truly embracing that identity, then signing Murray feels like a deviation from the blueprint before it even fully takes hold. But here's where it gets complicated again. This is the NFL. Flexibility matters. If Murray hits free agency and is available at the veteran minimum, Miami could justify it purely as value acquisition. 1 year, low financial risk, high upside. If he thrives, you found lightning in a bottle. If he doesn't, you pivot in 2027. From a cap perspective, it's clean. And let's be honest, if Tua Tagovailoa's situation also trends towards separation, Miami will need a capable starter. The quarterback market is rarely friendly. Proven starters don't grow on trees. Drafting a rookie carries risk. Overpaying a bridge veteran carries risk. Murray at the minimum reduces financial exposure while preserving optionality. However, there's also the locker room dynamic. Bringing in a former #1 overall pick, someone with franchise quarterback pedigree, immediately shifts expectations. This wouldn't feel like a placeholder move. It would feel like a swing. And if the offense struggles early in a new scheme, pressure would mount quickly. And here's something that can't be ignored. Arizona is picking near the top of the draft. That signals that even with Murray available for stretches, the results didn't follow. Yes, football is a team sport. Yes, context matters, but elite quarterbacks tend to elevate their teams out of the bottom tier. That hasn't consistently happened. So when you zoom out, you're left with two realities. On one hand, the Dolphins could secure one of the most physically gifted quarterbacks in football at the lowest possible price point. That's tempting. On the other hand, the schematic alignment, size considerations, under-center requirements, and long-term roster identity all point in a different direction. This isn't just about 2026. It's about the foundation of what Miami wants to become. And that's why this conversation is so polarizing. And let's take this even deeper, because this isn't just about one player or one season. This is about the mindset of the franchise and what kind of team we want to see on the field when games truly matter. Picture this with me. It's late in the season. The weather isn't perfect. The pressure is high. Every possession feels heavier. In moments like that, you don't just rely on athleticism, you rely on structure, discipline, and identity. That's why this decision, if it ever becomes real, would be bigger than headlines or social media reactions. It would say something about how confident the organization is in its long-term plan. On one side, you have upside. Pure, undeniable upside. A quarterback who can make plays when everything breaks down. A player who can turn a third and long into a highlight. Someone who forces defenses to hesitate because they know one mistake could turn into a 40-yard scramble or a deep shot downfield. That kind of threat changes how teams prepare. It changes how defensive coordinators call games. And sometimes, that unpredictability is exactly what gives a team an edge. But on the other side, there's consistency. There's system fit. There's the idea that success doesn't come from chaos. It comes from repetition, timing, and execution. When a team commits to a certain offensive philosophy, every piece needs to align. The quarterback's footwork, the protection schemes, the run game design, the play action timing. If one piece feels forced, the whole machine can stall. And that's why this conversation feels so real. Because as fans, we don't just want excitement. We want progress. We want to see a team that isn't chasing quick fixes, but building something sustainable. At the same time, we don't want to pass up a low-risk opportunity that could surprise the entire league. It's that balance between patience and boldness. Would bringing in a dynamic talent at a bargain price show confidence? Or would it signal hesitation about the direction already in place? That's the heart of it. Not emotion, not hype, direction. And here's something else to think about. Competition can elevate a locker room. Sometimes bringing in someone with something to prove creates urgency across the entire roster. Iron sharpens iron. But it can also create tension if expectations aren't clearly defined.